Here with me in the studio to talk a little bit more about the sorts of information that's online, the sorts of chatter on social media. Belle Lupton joins me. And of course, ever since Friday night, the social media has been absolutely alive with messages, with videos, with photographs. And it's not always easy to tell the genuine footage and the genuine images from the falsified ones. Talk us through it.
It is. Now, the same thing happened after the Charlie Hebdo attacks back in January. We saw this same flooding of information coming out across social media and across most YouTube, all news websites. Back then, 24 hours after the attack in January, these YouTubes were emerging telling us that what we were hearing in the news was wrong. Now, the same thing is happening again, and it's already starting to happen. So in each case, the claims are based on evidence, which actually, when you look at it, is pretty easy to debunk. So I'd like to take you through three different pieces of so-called evidence that we can take a look at. So first up, we've got this tweet, which conspiracy theorists have found. They say it's dated, or you can see there, it's dated from the 11th of November. So that's 2 days before the attack. And yes, it does seem to predict the death toll from the Paris attacks that happened 2 days later on the 13th, before the attacks even happened. Now, conspiracy theorists say that this is proof, cast iron proof, that the attacks were organised down to the number of victims that the attacks were going to have, and they claim that this, as a result, cannot be the work of a jihadi organisation, but something far bigger, far more powerful, far more sinister, and of course far better connected than that.
Extraordinary. A message that would appear to predate those attacks, as you say, by 2 days. People must be wondering where on earth it came from.
Yeah, and whether it can be for real. I mean, how can this message be true, or can it be true? What you don't see in that tweet is where, of course, this source is. Now, PZ Feed eBooks, which is the Twitter source here, it's an account that takes real tweets from media outlets and uses an automated system to essentially scramble up those tweets and then regurgitate different piecemeal tweets that will essentially spread false news. That's what they're trying to do. So they create their own tweets from existing news outlet tweets. We can see there in this second image here, you've got that a few days earlier, that same account was already announcing exactly the same death toll. So there you go, the 120 with 270 others injured, in exactly the same phrasing. This time, though, in Nigeria, and apparently because of a mosque attack in Nigeria. Now, this, of course, never happened. So here we go. This is just showing to us that this is just a scramble. They've not, this isn't some sort of amazing piece of evidence they've uncovered. It's just an automated system scrambling up these tweets. It is a coincidence, but that hasn't stopped conspiracy theorists thus far.
Okay, so it basically sounds like there are enough false tweets out there to suit pretty much any set of circumstances.
Exactly.
And they're so numerous, as you say. But extraordinary, isn't it, that there should even exist the software for scrambling tweets and divulging false information. There are also videos out there that have been doing the rounds online. Again, not all of them true to life and factually accurate.
No, there are a bunch of videos that have already started to circulate on YouTube claiming that the attacks were part of a greater conspiracy. Some of these videos suggest that nothing actually happened. Some of their arguments are often a little incoherent, to say the least, but there's just one that I'd like to play to you to have a listen to the style of the delivery here.
Of last night's events in the French capital, Charlie Hebdo's chronicler, Patrick Pilou, reveals to a popular news radio that Paris hospitals and several disaster response units were warned by authorities earlier in the morning and told to prepare for a multiple terror attack exercise. But not by luck,
to
as
what
he puts,
he's actually
but
saying.
because it was a government-sponsored false
So before we
flag
get to
attack.
what he's actually saying, I'd like to talk about the delivery. I mean, you heard it there. It's that serious, dramatic voice. It sounds like it's a computer-generated voice or a distorted voice. That bed of dramatic, anxious, possibly farcical music. All of this is to give the impression that the voice is telling you something that's indisputable evidence. But in reality, of course, that is not the case. So now to talk about what he's actually saying. He says there, he quotes a guest on a French radio station who explains that, as luck would have it, French ambulance services performed a drill on the very morning of the Paris attacks for a multi-location attack. Now, we know that already. We've been reporting that, and we say that is a happy coincidence. That was just something that they were doing because they were prepared for this sort of an attack. Well, not according to that particular internet user and to that video. What they say is that it's proof that the whole tragedy this weekend was premeditated by a cabal of sinister forces. How else, they ask, would the ambulance services have known to rehearse that kind of a situation?
Okay, but people must be asking, why have conspiracy theories surrounding a tragedy? What's behind all of this?
I mean, when we look at these conspiracy theories, they're always the same. They're always either YouTube channels and websites, mostly in the US, but some obviously now in France as well. And they have one objective, which is to show that media outlets like ours are lying, essentially, to the public. Now, behind that notion is an idea that the world is controlled by a powerful and secret lobby. So it could be the Jews. They sometimes say it could be the Freemasons.
The Illuminati.
The Illuminati, exactly.
Yeah, what about them?
The CIA. I mean, you name it. Whatever theory you want to come up with, there are hundreds of them. Now, for now, it's easy for us to spot those conspiracy theories. The videos that they're putting online are quite basic. The evidence, or so-called evidence, that they're putting forward is quite easy for us to debunk. But over time, there is a fear that they will develop their strategies, and these videos may well become more sophisticated, and the proof that they're giving may become more credible. So it's a warning, really, that we ought to be on the lookout for these sorts of things in the news, and also for people at home.
Okay, well, thanks very much indeed for that, Belle Lupton there.